Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is Refuge from Narcissism, and this refugee video is sponsored by contribution from Tanya, and this is Tanya from Stop Blaming Yourself Because of How the Narcissist Treats You, and here's her story. Hi, Ollie. Tanya here with another story. This one is about my borderline mom and golden child, covert narcissist sister. I feel like I don't give my sister enough credit since she was a main player in my mom's abuse. My sister is the daughter friend. My sister is the daughter friend to my mom. They are confidants, although their loyalty is fragile because they have no trouble venting about each other when the other one is not present. It wasn't always this way, their strong alliance. Growing up, there were 5 kids, and my parents were busy running a household and working. As children, my sister and I were friends. We shared a room with twin beds against each wall and would talk about our hopes and dreams. My sister is a talented storyteller, and I would listen to her short stories. She would invent games, and me and my siblings had so much fun. When my sister was 14 and I was 12, my little sister was born. My 2 brothers, me and my sister loved this new baby. I was always like a mini adult and caught onto adult topics. I was protective of my mother, and when my grandmother was babysitting me when I was 3 or 4 and I heard her gossiping about my mom, I called her out and declared, "Don't talk about my mom. You want her to die?" My grandmother thought it was endearing that I was so loyal and shared this with my mother. This is why I know the story. Looking back, my mom must have been conditioning me to be a loyal soldier since I was young. Then was always gossiping, so the women in your family are always gossiping on each other. It's where your mother gets it from, obviously her mother. For me as a 4-year-old to make that leap and conclude my mom was going to die because her mother-in-law was bad-mouthing her, that was her mother-in-law, because her mother-in-law was bad-mouthing her is troubling. No wonder when we moved to America from Ukraine when I was 7 that I felt responsible for my mom. When I was 8, my mom declared she was overwhelmed and had had it. She was going to walk into the lake and drown herself. None of my siblings noticed, but I did and followed her as she walked down the street heading toward the lake. I followed her for a while and she finally turned around and asked me what I was doing. I told her not to do it and come back home. She started smiling and walked back toward me. You know, this is a thing with old communist bloc women, too. They love to tell their children they're going to die. They love to threaten that they're going to die. I'm just going to go kill myself. I'm going to go drive my car off a cliff. My mother tried that, but I'd be like, good, good. We walked home together. Later she would tell me she didn't go through with it because she saw me. Now I know what borderlines are, and I know this was a lie. But how would an 8-year-old know that? You wouldn't. You wouldn't. So now you think at 8 years old that her life, is attached to your behavior. Not only was I mommy's little helper, but now I felt responsible for her. We lived in the country for several years after that. Our driveway was long. On Saturdays, my mom traveled 30 minutes away to the city to go to the farmer's market. I would sit on the steps of the front door and wait for her to return, worrying the whole time for her safety. I think I would have been the golden child if middle school didn't happen. This is when I became a teenager, this is when I became a teenager, an individual, and had activities and friends outside the home. This is when I also started to speak up and stand up to her after I observed her inconsistent behavior. She would make statements like, "You used to be so nice. What happened to you?" She liked to label me angry too. I was not angry, just upset at the injustice and the double standards. Her borderline behavior never went away. Roughly 25 years later, when my little sister was in her early 20s, my mom had another fight with my father. My father told me she was rolling around on the floor screaming. Jesus. Grown-ass woman. Grown-ass woman. Okay, in her 50s or 60s acting like this. Borderlines get better though, right? Never. It only gets worse because they get more and more entitled. He imitated her and we had a good laugh because she's ridiculous. But this fight had a serious threat. My mom threatened to kill my little sister and then kill herself. Yet this same monster gets to parade around this world like she's the best mother who had an abusive childhood. No one ever calls her out on her abuse except me. This story is about my golden child sister and how she graduated from the lost child to golden child. For continuity, I will call her Holly, a nickname she sometimes uses since it's similar to her Ukrainian name. Holly is 2 years older than me, as mentioned above, and we had a normal relationship during our childhood and teens. All of us kids were afraid of our mom, and this was exhibited during my high school graduation. My graduating class was 600 students, so it was held at a large arena. After the ceremony, I took some pictures with friends and said goodbye to a couple of teachers. I made my way to the lobby where all the families were waiting for the graduating seniors. When I finally found my family amongst the sea of people, I noticed my siblings looked scared and my father had his head down. My mom was fuming and told me, "How dare I make them wait?" Oh, God, See, my parents did this, okay, at my firefighter's graduation. They did it at Erin's at Erin's christening reception. They make it about them. There's some kind you slighted them on your fucking day. Every goddamn time. Every time. She proceeded to berate me and yell in front of my classmates. She claimed everyone came out but me. It was her show. We were there to listen to her grievances. Once she stopped yelling, my family was then allowed to give me flowers, balloons, and presents. My mom had bought me expensive jewelry, and I took family pictures. Remember, it wasn't about me. It was about how long I made them wait for me in the lobby. And if you think that is bad, she did the same thing 2 years later when I graduated from community college. On repeat, once again, my siblings and father just stood there. It was more fine jewelry and flowers. When I got my bachelor's degree, I sprinted to where my family was waiting, fearing a repeat of the previous graduations. My brother told me he did not attend his graduation after witnessing my experience. During the college years, somehow my mom and Holly became close. I was busy in college, so it suddenly became a new dynamic. The narcissistic abuse for me didn't get bad until college and was the worst in my 20s and now my 30s. This was when it was 2 against 1 and I could never win. I felt betrayed because I loved my sister and thought she was my best friend. I still believed this delusion for the remainder of my 20s despite the constant emotional abuse. I later learned when Holly was 20 years old and my little sister Katie was 6 years old, my mom had another narcissistic rage and Katie saw Holly freeze up and get scared. Holly was afraid of my mom. Katie comforted Holly and told her it was okay, it would be over soon. She also told Holly that mom really doesn't mean it. That is when Holly coined my mom's narcissistic rage as the 5-second temper. This magic statement absolved my mom. I don't know why Holly shared this story with me years later because it was so revealing and foreshadowed the dynamics of when Katie turned 12 and it became 3-on-1 versus 2-on-1. In this story, Holly told me she always wanted at least one parent to love her, and all her life she was trying to get that attention from my father, and he ignored her. So once Katie translated narcissistic rage to Holly, the 5-second temper was born, and Holly was no longer afraid of my mom. I never considered my mom competing with me until watching content on your channel and various other channels. Well, of course she's competing with you. Of course. This is why when you went to college and every time you graduated something, your mother's rage would come out. That's her jealousy. This is why she then gravitated towards Holly and then your youngest sister, Katie. Okay? Because she was going to make her new alliance to let her know no matter what you graduated, no matter what you accomplished, you're not better than her. And your sisters took it hook, line, and sinker. My mom and Holly eroded my confidence so much that it did not cross my mind that they valued anything in me. Their contempt toward me led me to believe that anything I embodied was not to be respected and desired. Their contempt for you is out of jealousy. Okay? It's their jealousy. It's jealousy of you is that which fuels the narcissist's rage. It's jealousy. They hate us because they ain't us. That's the fact. That's the fact. Both of my parents were good looking. Holly was considered to be the beauty in the family. She was graceful like a ballerina. Back in the late 90s when Abercrombie & Fitch was popular, Holly was hired as a model for the store. They only hired good looking people then. Holly was also shy, athletic, and a 4.0 student. Even then, she knew how to cut, figuratively, someone while looking innocent. Her beauty opened a lot of doors for her. While I was also pretty, I also had the personality to match. I was personable, funny, and friendly. At least that's how people who know me describe me. My sister was kind of a prude and judgmental and looked down on me for my natural ability to flirt. I was overall friendly and didn't mind flirting once in a while when I liked someone. I think Holly saw me as competition. They all see you as competition. It's all a sister competition. All of it. Competition breeds jealousy, breeds contempt. Get the timeline. Get the timeline. Understand where this all comes from. Holly also suddenly had issues with me hanging out with her friends when up to that point she hung out with me and my friends and I did likewise with her. Late in our 20s, Holly would go to great lengths to exclude me and she even did it to her best friend. It was bizarre. It went from a fun group to her being secretive and lying to me. I don't remember how we got on this topic, but in my mid-20s, I was in the living room with my mom and Holly. I think Holly said something about how she noticed men checking me out all the time. I think Holly was trying to make an inference that I was somehow suggestive. I was embarrassed because I don't like the attention and wasn't trying to be suggestive. In fact, I always dressed modestly since I was embarrassed at developing early in 5th grade. I never showed cleavage. Oddly, my mom encouraged me to do it. I'm glad I never fell for that trick. My mom explained to Holly, Tanya is naturally sexy. She's like Pamela Anderson. Oh, way to put your daughters in. No wonder. Way to put your daughters against each other, bitch. Way to keep that. I mean, women are horrible. You're horrible to each other. Horrible to each other. The patriarchy, though. Women do this to their own family members. They do it to their friends. They do it to their co-workers. They do it to everybody. Not all women. Especially since I wore J. Crew and Banana Republic, I was preppy, not Pamela. But now that I think about it, I think my sister was intimidated by the attention I was getting. All her life, she had been pretty and the one that got the attention. I was none the wiser that when I hung out with my sister, she would notice men paying attention to me versus her. She also accused me of being jealous of her. Projection. There it is. Jealousy. It's all projection. It's all projection. Yes, I was jealous. When I was 14 years old, my sister had a ballerina body and jeans looked better on her. She referenced that moment as proof that I was jealous of her, even though we're in our mid-20s at that point. At least I was honest. I can't say the same about her. There are so many other stories involving my sister. She was always campaigning against me and starting rumors. Sometimes Katie would be nice to me and tell me things that Holly was saying behind my back. Your family's just a giant middle school lunch table. Tanya. Katie knew this wasn't true and was upset Holly would make up lies, especially in instances when Katie was present and was a witness. Holly would straight up make up lies. Holly was an instigator since Holly is the daughter friend of my mom. I believe she pulled the strings and my mom carried out Holly's orders. Probably. They're just a bunch of mean girls. They're just a bunch of middle school cheerleaders plotting at the lunch table. This is nothing different except you're blood related to them. Understand their contempt for you comes from jealousy. It's their jealousy. All of it. And they can't stop competing. They can't stop competing. They won't stop competing. So the only thing you could do, Tanya, is to cut them all out. Because this is never going to stop. Is never going to stop. Your sister is always going to want to be the hot ballerina, hotter than you. She puts all her value on any man wanting to fuck her first over you, over her own sister, over her other sister, over her mother, and her mother views all three of them view each other the exact same way. And they view you as competition. Okay? Their contempt is bred by jealousy. Jealousy is what feeds their contempt. So, I hope that helps. Thank you so much for another contribution and story, Tanya. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, something you'd like me to expose, you'd like to set up a Skype, phone call, have a private video made, or you'd just like to make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you guys. Without you, all of this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel on here and on Rumble, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been Refuge from Narcissism. Take care.